Hello there. This is a story about Eric the Elf and the Moonstone. Now, you may perhaps know that Eric the Elf is not a particularly magical elf, but he does have one or two tricks up his sleeve. For example, he can sense springs of water under the ground if you want to dig a well. He can speak with all the animals of the woods and the fields. He can smell silver on a good day, although that isn't really of very much interest to him. But one of his very special tricks is that he has a special stone, which, when he rubs it, glows with a misty blue light in the darkness. Now, Eric knew that his special stone was, getting a bit dim. So, he needed to get it charged up. He waited until it was a fine, clear evening, and he packed himself a nice little piece of cake to nibble on his way, because he would have to go out when it was dark, well after supper time. So, he packed his cake and he set off into the woods. He was heading for the stream that ran right through the middle of the woods. As he walked, he didn't have to use his special stone because the moon was shining brightly, and by looking up, he could see the path that he was following by the gaps in the trees overhead. Eventually, he came to the stream. He slithered down the bank to a nice flat piece of earth on which, very conveniently, was a nice dry log which he could sit on. He took out his special stone, and finding a still patch of water where he could see clearly the reflection of the moon, he plopped the stone in. Then he sang a very special song in Elvish. Now, this doesn't translate particularly well, but I do have a note here of more or less how it went. Just give me a moment. Here we are. The moon looks down and sees us all. The moon, the sun, the stars. To charge my stone, the moon I call, that it may last for hours. To be honest, Eric always felt a little bit silly when he sang the song, because he wasn't a good singer, and really it was a little embarrassing. Anyway, he sat on his log and waited for his stone to charge up. Just as he was about to take out his cake to have a little nibble, a bubbly voice said, "Hello, Eric." It was Sam the Salmon. "Hello there, Sam," said Eric. "Would you like a piece of cake?" "Yes, please," he said. "What a treat." So, Eric shared his cake with Sam the Salmon, and they passed a very pleasant time chatting about this and that and catching up on the news of the river. When the cake was finished and Eric was just about to retrieve his stone, Sam said, "Eric, that was very kind of you to share your cake with me like that. I wonder if perhaps you might like me to add a little hint of silver to the light of your moonstone. Oh, yes, please, said Eric. Oh, that would be marvellous. No problem at all. And Sam went down and rubbed his silvery, shiny scales across the moonstone, and with a flash of his tail, he was gone. Eric picked his stone back up out of the river and just gave it a little rub. It shone, not just with the misty blue light, but now with a sharp, silvery light, which meant he could see twice as far as he could before. Which was just as well, because by now the moon had disappeared behind the clouds. So Eric started to make his way back to his cottage, holding out his moonstone, which shone brightly in the night. As he made his way back to his cottage, suddenly he heard, "Oh, hello, Eric. Oh, thank you. Why, it was Mr. Badger. Oh, Eric, if you hadn't been shining your light like that, I think I might even have missed the way into my set. Very useful, very kind, thank you. Good night to you." And Mr. Badger scurried down into his set. A little further down the path, he heard a voice coming out of the bushes. "Thank you, Eric, thank you. Oh, very good. It was Harry the Hedgehog. I found a lovely little patch of mushrooms thanks to your light. Oh, well done, Eric." "Happy to oblige," said Eric. Further still down the path, he heard a strange sort of squeal and a hiss. Turning round, he heard a soft, silky voice. "Oh, meow, thank you, Eric. Without your light, I would never have found Katy the kitten. I can't count the number of times I've told her not to wander off from the farmyard. Meow." Why, it was Tabitha, the farm cat, who had been chasing her little kitten Katy for hour upon hour. When Eric shone his stone in their direction, he saw Tabitha was holding Katy down with a very firm paw. "Meow. Thank you, Eric. I bid you a very good night. Meow." And she picked Katy up in her teeth and carried her off back to the farm. Eric continued on his path back to his cottage, and by the time he got home, why, he must have helped a dozen or more people just by having his special moonstone lighting the way in the dark night. He shut his door, put his stone carefully on one side, and went to bed. And just as he was drifting off to sleep, he thought to himself, it is a simple thing, but to shine your light in the darkness, no matter how small it may be, you have no idea how many people you may be helping. And he slept a lovely, peaceful sleep.